sure. Beating the no, it was like beating the anti-King's Indians or something like that. And he even included a line against the Black Redeemer, but he recommended playing. I think it was him. Not sure. Um, he never whispered. Yeah. Hi. Um, Somebody sent me a whisper. So anyway, they recommend a line with e6 here. I've never been comfortable with that. It feels very passive for black. So I'm going to play the g6. g6, bishop c4, yeah. And you know who I saw play this? You know, it's not like every day you go to a tournament with like strong players and the guy next to you is like playing the Black Mardimer. But I went to, I think it was in Slovenia in a big open. Perhaps, yeah, I think so. And the Latvian Grandmaster Normas Mises was sitting next to me, and his opponent played the Black Mardimer. He did this. So I always start, you know, since he did it, I started doing it. He's a very good player. But I thought if it's good enough for Mises, it's good enough for me. Um, Analyze this a little bit. Basically, you're going to try to probably play bishop g4 at some point. And the kingside fianchetto is pretty much the safest. So he stops the bishop g4 with this extremely weakening move here. Extremely weakening move h3. And now white will, I guess this is Black Mardimer theory. Now white will try to do something on the king side, having stopped the simplification with bishop g4. Denver driving. Thanks for the news. Yeah, I'm not so much worried. Yeah, Denver rushing game could be a problem, especially in the snow. The passes aren't going to go too far. I'm worried about the Denver defense. Maybe I'm wrong to be worried about the wrong thing. Anyway, so h3, now knight c6, or c5, c5, d5. Now, can I get in a6? This Grunfeld, I have a Grunfeld type of structure. I don't want to play too passively. I think you've got to play something dynamic here. Maybe a6, b5. a6 with the idea of c5 real fast, for example. We've got to be really fast because he's going to do queen e1, bishop h6, knight g5, and try to mate me like that. So, also there's knight c6. And maybe I should play knight c6 right away. This is probably the book here. a4. Okay. The idea is a c5, d5. I don't have b5. I guess this is still theory. So no sandbagger. I could play knight c6 and put my knight on b4 in some positions now. But we're going to have to study the Black Mardimer. So sad. It seems like such a waste of time because nobody who's serious plays this opening. I guess b6, idea bishop b7. How much is this kingside attack going to hurt me? Could we sack a pawn with b5? It would be kind of funny. Give it back. b5, a takes b5, bishop b7. Yeah, why not? I mean, let's... Yeah, it's not really correct, though. I mean, I would justify this guy's opening if I did that. But I don't see a lot of other plans. b6 feels so slow. b5, a takes b5. It's a practical game. Bishop b7. His king side is weak. Let's try it. I don't think this is correct, but it at least will like take away. I think this will take away some of his initiative. Just because it's a 15-minute game, I would never give the pawn back in a long game. But I just don't want to get into a really bad time situation. Ultimately, his king should be fairly open for the long term. And the bishop on b7 could be a very powerful piece. So I think this is a reasonable practical decision for me. Queen d6 and knight c6. Yeah, that makes sense with it makes sense with a6. Queen d6 looks a little like a, you know, Queen d6 Scandinavian. So now around this point we start thinking like, are we thinking about c5? I was just getting to the c5 and he plays bishop e3. I mean, we don't have to do anything fancy, but I would like to develop and destroy his center. So c5, he sort of stopped it now, pretty concretely. Knight b4. Bit concerned about knight. Yeah, I'm gonna do knight b4. This is purely practical decision again. I can meet knight e5 with knight d5 and cut off the pressure on the f7 pawn. But I think more so than anything, I'm just focused on trying to be practical, and queen takes, I guess. Bishop takes is also okay. I guess queen takes shouldn't be automatic. The queen is pressuring d4. It's yeah. I mean, maybe queen takes looks nice because of the long diagonal. But yeah, he can't play 95 though. I'm not sure which way I should take back. Why is the 3D board? It doesn't look so good. Okay, that's it. That's the last one. You're Chapman. No, I'm just kidding. Alright. Yeah, I mean, I think the consensus is that everybody doesn't like the 3D board. We will change the board, but I'm not going to change it mid-game. Next stream, we're going to use a new board. You guys have voted down the 3D board. You dissed the 3D board. Any news? Go Denver. No snow. That's good. Actually, it could have been like a miracle that the Patriots played away, because if it had been at home, they would have been playing in the snow, ironically. So maybe playing in Denver was a blessing for them. Okay, here, rook d8 weakens f7. I don't really want to play e6. Knight d5. Bishop on g7 would like to play. Bishop b3 is a good solid move by white. Kind of hard to come up with a plan. I'd like to play c5. Can't do it. We'll just try to keep it somewhat simple. Knight d5. Knight takes d5. Knight takes d5. Bishop where? He needs to keep his dark squared bishop. I'm hoping to get in c5. And do I take with a bishop on d5? Would I consider that? I think from the positional standpoint, yeah, it's not a bad move, but c4 I think for white makes it pretty murky. Knight takes d5. I can nullify the long a2 g8 diagonal with e6 at some point, although it's a slightly weakening move. This guy's being very careful. He's stopping c5. Like, man, all I want to do is play c5. He's playing very positionally for a guy who's playing the, you know, I mean, does it seem weird to you? The people who play the Black Mardemer play this positionally? Does that seem weird? It seems really weird. Like the positional Black Mardemer player. It's absurd. Maybe I go back to f6, play knight f4 here. Knight f4. Knight f4, what am I doing? You know, knight f4, bishop g3. Knight f4 is like a cheapo, threatening knight takes h3 check. But if he plays bishop g3, So, I mean, c4 is double-edged. I talked about that move, but it may end up being like weakening and blocking his own bishop and stuff. So I'm not really sure. Not really sure. Rook e1, you could shift to the e file here. And e6. e6 is a reasonable move. But I don't really feel like I have a plan in this position. I don't feel like I have a plan. Knight f4, bishop g3. And if I had c5, rook d8 would be an idea, but it's not. What's your rating? Leave mortality behind. My rating was like 2377 FIDE the last time I checked, with a peak rating of about 2475. I'm about 100 points below my peak rating. Alright, bishop f2. It's hard to decide what to do here. It really is. Everything seems wrong. I think my position is fine, but I don't really know how to continue. There shouldn't be anything wrong with my game. At the same time, it's very difficult to make a decision. Knight f4. I wonder if like knight f4, bishop g3, knight back. What would he do? You know, and should I play e6? I guess e6. It's slightly weakening, but it's a normal Grunfeld move, and you can't have everything. I mean, you just, if he hesitates for a moment, I could get a good game. I have 4 pawns to defend my king. He has just 2. If you think about the pawn structure, I think black is probably better. His queenside pawns seem kind of useless. I mean, c4 is pretty weakening. Knight f4, bishop g3, knight takes h3, bishop takes f3, and bishop takes d4. There was some weird ideas of bishop d4. I didn't consider that possibility. Now, does anything changed here after knight f4? No. He did just weaken his bishop on g3. So I'm wondering about changing diagonals. Queen a6, queen, bishop h6, you know, sort of takes the pressure off the center, doesn't feel right. Rook d8, kind of waiting for him to make a mistake, and it's not happening. But the b file actually starts to look good here. What if we play like bishop a6, drive him off the file, we shift diagonals, get him off the f file, and we go to the b file, where the base of his pawn chain is. We just totally change gears on him. I think the queen on a8 is good, because it's looking toward the king side with things like knight f4. It's still on the long diagonal, but at the same time, we can use it like on the a file and the b file. We're kind of massaging him here, but at the same time, he's held together really well, and he hasn't made any mistakes. It's looking like pawn structure-wise. You could argue I have an isolated pawn. I mean, that makes him better or something. But this is a very solid move. Knight there, and he's trying to play like knight e4. Okay, queen b7. Queen b7, like just preventing him from playing knight c4, tying him down to b2. This is the most positional Black Mardimer gambit player I've ever seen in my life. Now knight f4. Maybe I could have done it last move, but now knight f4, knight e4, yeah. Knight f4 is kind of a threat now.